Hi there. We're back again with our leadership and agility series. I think this is the last one, so thanks for staying along with us. We appreciate it. I'm here again with Sabrina and Belinda, and we're from Arabica and Agile World. Cool. So I think over the last four episodes, we've been talking about becoming a more agile organization and the kind of areas that we found that are really beneficial to look into, and some of the things that you need to look at, and some of the capabilities that are really good to build to create the catalyst to make these things happen. I know, and you all know, as agilists, that there are a couple of things that you need in order to progress and become a more agile organization. And we haven't really talked about those things in great detail. And it's because we're saying that they're implicit, that if you're going to look at benefits and measure and value and work and become a more agile organization, you need to work within some kind of bounded autonomy. And bounded autonomy is something that, you know, as coaches or people that are agents of change in a more agile environment, we like to apply to teams. So we say, we'll use bounded autonomy for this period of time and we'll look at the results. And it's the same for an organization. And you can see on our cycle diagram here, there's a line around the edge, and there are four key things that you need to look at within that bounded autonomy. And those four things have to flow and develop and change as the organization changes. They're not static. I think, you know, the first one, it's a bit of a vie-up between the two, but I'm as the starting point, I'm going to go with the consistent understanding of value and agility.
Because
we've said again and again, value is the underpinning of everything that we're doing. Yeah. It's all the way through this cycle, we've talked about value. We've talked about understanding value, describing value, measuring value, delivering value. Yep. If as an organization, we have a consistent understanding of value, it's far easier to talk to one another. It's far easier for us to storytell on our work, to storytell on our challenges, on our experiments and things like that. And if we have a consistent understanding of agility and what that means to our organization, that makes that experimentation easier as well. Yeah, our standpoint, I'll put words in your mouth, certainly my standpoint is that agile is, we should be method agnostic. Yeah. We're looking at teams and we're saying, what's the best thing for you right now? What's the thing that's going to support you the most right now in this big bag of agile tools and practices and methods that we've got down here?
Yeah. It's never one size fits all. Never. And organizations that try to shoehorn everybody into a particular way of working don't have a lot of success. Scrum might work for one team, Kanban might work for another, SAFe might work for some people.
Somewhere.
XP, has to work somewhere, right?
You said
XP, whatever it is, try it on for size. Yeah. But as Sabrina pointed out before, don't be too quick to abandon it because it doesn't suit.
Your teams don't all have to work exactly the same.
No.
There are processes and ways of working that can be put in place to still give your teams, like LPM and stuff like that, just dropping one in there, that allow them to work in the best way possible for them, for their customer, for their delivery, and for the environment that they're in. So yeah, it frustrates.
And that might change over time. We're not saying that nothing ever changes. What we're saying is don't abandon things because you don't think they work too quickly. Sorry.
Oh, so I was going to say I'm going to drop another thing in. Test and learn.
Test and learn.
Yeah.
Gotta test and learn. But it's all of the like lean portfolio management, test and learn, a consistent understanding. If you get the basics right, if you can break your work into chunks consistently and everyone understands what those chunks mean, if you can describe your work so it's clear and that description and that concept of describing your work is consistent, anyone can pick up a piece of work and say, I know what this is and I know what the value is. If you're sizing your work well, however that may be, anyone can turn up and
ways to size your work.
There are many different ways to size your work, and you can say, I understand what the size of this work is because I am talking to the team and I have consistent language. And if you're tracking your work in a consistent way, it doesn't have to be the same thing. It's a consistent concept of tracking that work.
Yeah.
That makes we've talked in previous episodes about the communication between senior leadership and teams and that gap in the middle. Yep. If you've got that consistent understanding, that gap becomes narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower.
And eventually, hopefully it goes.
Poof. Yeah, because poof, poof, poof.
Disappears in a cloud of logic.
I think, the next thing you need is agents of change.
Yes.
As you are becoming a more agile organization, or you are undertaking more agile practices or ways of working, or whatever it is that you're doing as an organization, you need to include agents of change. And they need to understand and be able to train and build capability around those consistencies that you've decided as a business. How are we going to do this?
It's helpful if they're willing to roll their sleeves up and be involved. Often, and I'll say as a trainer, here's the thing. It's really easy to stomp in, spout theory, and stomp out. But unless you've lived it,
breathed it,
unless you've delivered it, unless you've been at the coalface, I believe it's difficult to empathize with teams who are going through this.
Yep.
And it's very, very difficult to help them to find the way of working that works best for them.
No, I agree.
As I said before, there is no one size fits all. Yeah. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to take the data and you've got to inspect and adapt as an agent of change. And so often people get steamrollered over by the big agents of change who don't change anything. They just cause chaos and move along. Don't choke, Adam. That would be bad. As an agent of change, you've got to have the experience and the flexibility to listen to what your team is telling you. And I think I said this before, what's the important thing for leaders when it comes to defining the values? Listening. Listen to what the teams are telling you. Understand how they work and work with them to make things better rather than trying to impose your worldview on them. And I'll stop now because I could go on about this all day.
I completely agree. It's that practical application that you get from agents of change. It's so vital. It's so vital to build capability in leaders and in teams. You have to have lived it. You have to have been there.
You need to embed with your team to understand how they go about their day. Otherwise, you're just somebody that rolls in, spouts theory at them for a couple of hours, makes them build some Lego palace, and then into the afternoon. Although I'm a big fan of Lego.
I am a big fan of the Lego building game.
Can I just confirm? Never use Lego and Play-Doh together. I've made that mistake. I've learned from it. It doesn't work. It's great fun for the moment. You lose your Lego. It costs you a lot of money. There's no value. The only value is it's great fun, but the actual value is it costs a lot of money to replace everything.
It's the agile equivalent of nuts and gum.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Cool. I think so. You know, with the agents of change piece, you definitely 100% need leadership to be on board with this and be able to, as we said in the green
agents of
earlier,
change. The change comes from them.
They need to be agents of change. Teams are agents of change as well. Everybody's
an agent of change in their own wee corner.
Leadership
needs to be agents of change, or they can choose to be blockers.
This is true. And what do we do with leaders that are blockers when we don't have leaders who have a consistent vision, when we don't have leaders who have a consistent desire to become a more agile organization because they feel threatened, or they feel that something may go wrong for them, or they just don't believe in it. We're delivering in this way and it's absolutely fine. Why are you making us do this other thing? And that's cool. We as agents of change have to support that leadership so that it can become the driver for the catalyst for change, as we talked about in earlier when we were talking about the benefit cycle.
Yeah.
And leaders have to want to be a part of that change. And again, we've talked about that in previous episodes. This isn't you are going to become agile. This is an organizational thing, and it has to be the whole organization. Procurement need to understand agility and work in a more agile way. HR need to do that. Governance need to do that. Funding,
risk, audit, finance,
all of those things, because the change will.
You can't just expect technology to change.
No, it's not
be
just
agile
technology.
Unless everyone else is involved. But this brings us back to not boiling the ocean.
Not boiling the ocean.
You have to start somewhere.
But you can take a value slice when you're looking at defining your value, and you take your first value slice. Who needs to be on the bus?
Everybody.
So we are technology, but we also need procurement. We need someone to help us be nimble and get people in from outside. We need funding that's nimble, and it's not in a year's time. It's 3 months worth of funding so that we can do these experiments.
Yeah.
So take that value slice and bring the people in you need.
Yeah.
And our leaders and leadership are the people that are going to make that happen. It's very difficult to do that from team level.
Yeah.
And it's normally 9 times out of 10, actually, it's the team level that are promoting it and pushing it to leadership that they want to make this change, which is great. But we need it from both angles. It's the Vogue. I'm just going to keep doing this. Someone's going to do a meme of this and
someone's going to do a meme of that.
Someone's going to do a meme and embarrass me on that.
We can only hope.
Cool. Do you want to say anything more on the leadership within our bounded autonomy, or should we move on to
I think
our psychologically safe linchpin?
The next one is actually a big one, and it's a little bit of people fear it a little bit where they shouldn't. As soon as someone mentions the term psychological safety, is a bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It's not just fear. People are very unsure about it. But
trepidation.
Yes. But it's actually really, really important to have psychological safety. It's part of having that open and honest communication, which allows us to learn as people.
But again, it's another one of these things that you just can't impose. You can't just say we're agile. You can't just say we're psychologically safe. This is a thing that needs to build and grow holistically and organically.
Yeah.
From that clear understanding of value and agility, the display of benefit, the measuring of change, the value we're delivering by change, and the doing the work towards change. All of these things, it's no mistake that these are nice circles. All of these things are intellect. It's the fundamental interconnectedness of everything. But all of them have to be there, and all of them have to be practiced and demonstrated before we achieve this nirvana-like state of psychological safety. I mean, I've been in a team where I've heard the question asked, why don't you feel psychologically safe?
Yeah, that was a yeah.
I'm not answering that question. And the look on people's faces when I refused to answer the question was a picture. And then afterwards, when I took them aside and said, I won't answer that question because it's not a psychologically safe question, I shouldn't have to tell you that. Stunning. You cannot just say, we're psychologically safe, this is a safe space. Because unless you feel that, because of the demonstrated behaviors and practices of other people at whatever level of the business.
Unless leadership are proving that over and over again by giving teams and other leaders space for change and allowing, not successful experiments, allowing experiments to take place and allowing people to communicate the results of those experiments, whether or not they were successful or not, and sharing the knowledge within that, you're never going to have a psychologically safe environment. Lots of places that I've been, people are scared of being beaten up for not meeting something. I might as well not say anything now and just put it off right until the end of the year.
Even as a leader, you can't sit there saying you're agile now, whilst beating people with a stick to deliver faster and more.
And it's a bit frustrating in those situations because it goes into work these days to put their feet up and do nothing. Don't get me wrong, there's always one or two individuals, fair play to them, they get away with it, still trying to work that out. But, the fear of not being able to tell leadership, or it's not even leadership, not being able to say, actually, this is not going to get delivered because there's always a reason why. And if we're open and honest about that reason, and we have the environment where we feel we can just go, do you know what? I know you really need it at this deadline, but what actually we're going to deliver is going to be a crocker, or it's just not going to be right.
And the important thing, and the agile thing and the psychologically safe thing is, as soon as it becomes apparent, expose it to the air.
Yes, straight away.
Don't wait until the day before you're failing to deliver and panic and have everyone work overnight to try and push anything out the door. As soon as it becomes apparent that actually, no, this isn't going to happen, now is the time to say no. And that is where your psychological safety comes from.
Yeah. If you're creating a cycle of places where you can talk about your problems openly and actually do something about it with your leadership. So we've called this out on lots of these episodes, lean portfolio management. If you are undertaking like an LPM cycle, it allows you to regularly turn up and, as Belle says, this isn't working. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to help me?
We don't have the people to deliver what you want when you want it. We don't have the infrastructure to deliver what you want when you want it. We don't have the budget. We don't have the time. We cannot do everything. So as leaders, tell us what we can do and what you're prepared to give us to do what you need. Then you become psychologically safe because you can go into that forum and you can push back without fear of retribution.
I think when you're looking,
headphones. This is headphones.
when you're looking at like organizational change and you're looking at at psychological safety within the organization, there is no playbook for this. There's no thing that you can do in advance. There's no like. If you do these things, then you'll be agile. If you do these things, then you'll be psychologically safe. There is no playbook for this. There's a lot of tools and there's a lot of techniques and there's a lot of There's a lot of actions that you can undertake, but it comes from people interacting well. So
collaboration.
It's building that collaboration, building trust,
communication.
Yeah,
communication.
we're back to the beginning again. We're back to the beginning.
Right back round.
Communicate
all the way around.
well what you want to do.
This is something that you could wrap up in a book. You wouldn't have people like us around.
Immediately writes book.
Immediately writes book.
I'm typing as we speak.
Yeah, but that book would only be valid for the area and the environment that you're in at the time.
It's true.
Sorry,
it's true.
I just stopped on your book idea.
Damn it. Well, there go my riches.
But let's break it down and see what the value is. On that note, I feel it's the end of series 1. Watch this space.
Oh, hold on. I have to do this. Adam will get it. You know what I'm going to do? Oh no, where is it?
It doesn't work. Is it Finn? Oh, Finn.
See
you guys soon.
See you guys.